And again, say welcome to Travel Chats with Christine. I am Christine Edmond. I wanted to start Travel Chats because I love traveling and also enjoy hearing people's stories, understanding what they're passionate about. And so this show really focuses on people pursuing their passions while they travel. And I know that you have started a company and you are pursuing what you love, the finance industry, helping people with their financial matters and finding time to also travel while you are fulfilling the purpose is for your season.
Yes. The current season.
So, yeah, I know, right? And that's why I said purpose for the season, because I feel like our purpose and our, passions are constantly evolving based on where we are in life. But if you can just give us a brief background about who you are, what you're doing, where you like to travel.
Okay. Yeah. So thanks again for having me. I know I just met you a few weeks ago and you're like, oh, I need to have you on my show. I was like, totally, let's do it. So I'm Dominique Broadway. I'm an award-winning financial planner, personal finance expert, personal finance coach. Is there echo?
Possibly. And okay. It could possibly be my fault because lab rule number 1, use headphones, and I don't.
Okay, well, I'm using my headphones. Okay, so so that's basically what I do. I'm a personal award-winning financial planner, personal finance expert, personal finance coach. I work with millennials, entrepreneurs, and creators, helping them to understand their finances and basically demystify their finances and help them bring all their dreams to reality. So I started out working with high net worth clients and clients that had millions and millions and millions of dollars and doing trading and wealth management. And it was the worst job ever. It was like my dream job that turned into the worst job. And it was, oh my God, it was so horrible. I was telling someone the other day, like, I could not imagine if I was still having to be in that same job for the past, 9 years. Oh my gosh. I don't even know who I would be. I probably wouldn't be as fun. But anyway, so that's basically what I do and what I have done. What was your other question?
And where has this new pursuit, your company, where has it allowed you to travel?
Yeah, it's been really cool. I have to say, when I was working, because I hated my job so much, I tried to travel a lot. That's the fun part about having a good consistent salary. You can use it to do what you want to do with it, right? So I would try to take trips at least twice a month, even if it was just like driving to Baltimore, like just something, and spending the night somewhere else. And the cool thing now about what I do, and I never even thought that this would be a perk, is I get paid to travel a lot. And you wouldn't think that would be the case, being that I'm in finance, which is not that exciting. But I try to make it exciting. So I've been able, even this year alone, I've been able to just travel to a lot of different places throughout the country to speak on personal finance. And then I always will end up tagging on some personal time to stay and do extra things. So they'll cover the air, cover the hotel, and then I can just kind of wing it from there and stay longer. So it's been pretty cool. That this new career, my new passion, has also been able to feed my hunger for travel. So.
And what even brought you to entering the finance industry? Because it's, for someone who's very into words and being creative, numbers are just not where I see anything exciting. What brought you to even wanting to pursue a career in finance?
Well, I don't like to say I was a nerd, because I was actually pretty cool in high school, but I always was very, very intrigued with money. And ever since I was a child, like I was always trying, I feel like I was born an entrepreneur, always trying to figure out ways to make more money, because I realized that if I had money or had the money that I needed, I could buy all the things that I wanted and I didn't have to keep asking people. So when I was like 7 or 8 years old, I was just like, I'm tired of asking people for money. I'm going to make my own money. So I started making bracelets and selling them. And that's kind of where it started. So as I got older and older, I was just always trying to figure out ways to make money without having to physically go to work. Because I just I'm not supposed to be I don't think that we're supposed to be born, go to work, sit somewhere all day, and then die. That's like my biggest fear in life. I'm so scared of that. Especially being in finance, they would totally put me in some finance office box and just make me like do spreadsheets all day. So that's basically how I got into it. And when I was in high school, I just tried to start playing around with investments. And I realized, and in high school, that was like the only way that I could make money without having to physically work. So I would like sit down with my grandfather and say, show me your TSP statement, because I worked for the federal government at the time. And he was showing like, oh, look, I made so-and-so dollars today. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. I need to figure out how to do this. Like, you didn't even have to technically work to earn the money that you earn today. That's really how I got intrigued by this career. Although I've gone the non-traditional route with being in finance, because this is not something that, like, when you're looking through like the list of careers in high school, this was not like a career. I kind of took what I didn't like about working in the financial services industry and what I do like about just me and my life in general, and kind of combine the two. So I was just always on this mission to make more money for myself and make money without having to physically always be working. So that was why. And then also, when I read a lot of magazines and stuff, stockbrokers made a lot of money. So I was like, let's do that. So it was a combination of the two.
Yeah. And to what kind of inspired you to just get out and just go for it? I'm that person that they say, don't be like her. I didn't have a business or anything. I was just so tired of working in my job. I was like, I just can't do this anymore. I don't know what I'm going to do. My initial business ideas that hit me a couple months after I quit. One, I wanted to open a cupcake shop, but I really don't bake that well. And I wanted to buy properties. I wanted to be a real estate developer. So I did start dabbling with that, but things kind of fell apart. So, this was like, you know what? I really do like the finance part of things. I just didn't like the financial services industry because it was just so unethical and just extremely, dare I say, janky. Didn't want to be a part of it anymore. So what really pushed me to leave and start my business was being fed up. And I was so scared that I was looking at people who were older than me, who were 50s and 60s and 70s at the time, and saying that they were doing this their entire life, and explaining to them, like, I'm already bored. Like, how have you been doing this for so long? And that was really the only thing that made me go. I was just so scared of being there forever. Okay. And what do you think is the biggest lesson that you've learned from getting out there, starting your own thing? And I'm sure that transition period was probably the scariest.
Oh, yeah.
Part of it, because you just took this big risk. You quit your job and you were traveling quite a bit. You said while you were working as well. So that, I'm sure, had to stop for a little bit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everything stopped. I mean, the shopping, the traveling, all the excess stuff came to a complete halt. And it was weird because those were the things that I thought were making me happy. And because I had to completely back financially. And then even in my first year of business, after I went through my savings, I went completely broke. And life just completely changed for me. And I was like, okay, this is not a game. Like this, if I'm going to do this, I really have to do this. And so I was kind of able to revamp, completely cut back on my expenses and make a shift and work extremely hard. And one of the things I think a lot of times that entrepreneurs don't realize is like, okay, you have this great idea, and yes, maybe you're amazing. Yes, maybe you're qualified. But as a entrepreneur, you are a salesperson, and you need to be selling all day, every day. And that's another reason why a lot of entrepreneurs fail, is because they're not willing to get out there and sell. So once I realized that and decided to make that a priority, things really changed. So. Did you freeze? Did we lose you? Is that, it's great if you have a a good idea, or if you have, you're qualified to do something, but if you're not constantly putting yourself out there and selling yourself, you're going to fail, you know? And I think that people are like, oh, I'm here, I have my website, everyone come to me. And it's like, no, it's not. It's a lot of information. I think I was reading the other day, like the average person consumes or receives like 1,500 different messages throughout the day, just amongst all of our social media platforms. And with them creating more social media platforms, it's going to be more and more hoarded, like overload, information overload. So, but yeah, that's what I was saying.
And so with realizing kind of what it actually takes to be an entrepreneur, have you found that traveling helps, you know, meeting people in different places, telling them what you do? Is that would you say, core component to a good marketing strategy?
I wouldn't say it's a core component, because I think that most of my business and contacts a lot of times come from the just internet and social media and people saying, oh, hey, but because I do get, you know, I do have the ability to travel and meet people, it definitely does help with building additional relationships in other areas. So it is definitely very important. I wouldn't say a key component, but for me, I just like to travel. So any opportunity to get out there, you know, if you're going to fly me down to Orlando and I get to speak to 200 students, why not? Like, you know, so it's pretty cool. So it does give you the ability to grow your audience in other parts of the country. I haven't been invited to do any international speaking yet. Oh, hey, she's in Orlando. I haven't been invited to do any international speaking yet, but hopefully this year I will get some opportunities. I did talk to someone about possibly coming to Jamaica, so that would be really cool. So yeah.
Awesome. And so speaking of destinations, where would you say is your favorite place that you have traveled to? Whether for work or for your personal?
Yeah. I would have to say a favorite place is I really liked Guatemala. I went there and had an amazing experience there. And I wasn't there for leisure. I was there for an economic development trip. But outside of that, I just got back from Mexico last week. And oh my gosh, I just love Mexico. It's just amazing. I was in Cancun. Okay. So my entire family went for Thanksgiving. But places in the US I seem to go a lot is Vegas. Like I cannot stay away from Vegas. I went there 3 times last year, this year, back to back, and the flights are always so cheap. So yeah, those are some places that.
Someone just spend money there.
But like when I go there, I'm really good at getting low cost trips and then planning. And I think this is something really important. It's so funny. My client just texted me and said, "I'm going to send you my trip for Paris, my budget for Paris this evening," because I'm a big fan of. Yes, you buy your flight, you buy your hotel, but you also need to budget out what you're going to spend while you're there. And this is a lot of times why people just completely screw up their finances after they come back from a vacation. So actually, I had a trip planned to Paris in January. I got a flight for $99. But with everything going on in Paris, I decided not to go just because they're under state of emergency and all these different things. So I'm going to postpone it and go later on. But I think that, you know, having that travel budget for when you're actually there and knowing how much you need to spend for certain things is what can really help you, you know, prevent completely going broke when you get back home.
It's so true. So. I told you I went to Miami about a month ago, and I just did like one of those, you know, last minute deal. I was like, all right, well, I'm here. I made it. Oh, wait, I have to eat. And,
and I have to get from the airport.
And Lyft and Car2Go. And my friend definitely helped with expenses, but I don't think I budgeted at all.
And that's another thing, you know, like with all these different secret, like one of my favorite sites is Secret Flying. And, you know, it's like, okay, cool. I'll go and, you know, book this super low cost trip to, I don't know, Denmark or whatever. But let's go see what the hotels are in Denmark, because it may not be a deal if the hotels are going to be $600 a night. You know what I mean? So it's really, I think a lot of times people see a deal, but don't look further into what it's going to cost them. So, yeah.
And so where else have you traveled to?
Let's see. I've done a lot of the like islands. So my goal this year is I'm trying to do like Europe and Greece and all those types of places. But I've done like Dominican Republic this year. So even this year alone, I've done Mexico, Dominican Republic. I've done Vegas, New Orleans, Orlando, New York. I'm there all the time because it's up the street. Where else? Texas, so a lot of the different places here, but I really love traveling and doing like the all-inclusive resorts where you come, you don't have to take your wallet out the whole time, so those are some of my favorite places to go. So I'm also hoping that since I can't do the trip to Paris, I'm thinking of doing, Costa Rica. I haven't been to Costa Rica yet, but I've heard some interesting things about Costa Rica. No, but I'm actually thinking about doing a meditation retreat for my birthday this year in Bali. So I'm researching that right now. I don't know how much meditation I could get done in Costa Rica. I have to check that out, Ray. But yeah, that's something I'm thinking about doing, just to kind of experience a different area. And then doing that as a solo trip as well. So I do enjoy solo trips. So, you don't have to worry about making decisions like, oh, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Like, I'm just going to do what I want to do while I'm here. So
yeah, I'm the same. Well, I took my first solo trip earlier this year.
Where'd you go?
I went to California.
Okay.
And did a road trip, and now I'm just like, oh, I just want to travel by myself all the time now.
I did a solo trip to LA and came back Thanksgiving morning a couple years ago. My grandma was like, oh no, what if your flight gets delayed? You can't make it back. And it was amazing. I ended up staying in LA for about a week by myself, and I only knew one person there. And they came and picked me up a couple times, but it's really interesting to travel solo. I mean, it's a very unique experience. It's also cool to have someone there to share it with you, but traveling solo it's something special. It's something special about it for sure.
Definitely. And I'm a very friendly, sociable person. So I feel like no matter where I go, I'm going to meet people, make not friends, but, make acquaintances for wherever I am, and really try to meet the locals.
Yeah. And that's the fun part. It really is. I'm like, I ride like the metro every now and then here, but I was like, every time I go to another country or state, that's when I hop on the bus, which is, I don't know why I always do that, but I was like, let's go where the locals go.
Yeah.
But I think it's good to get away from the resorts and go and see how everyone else lives. I mean, that's to me one of the best parts about traveling.
Yeah. And do you have any like resorts that you just fell in love with that you would go back to in a heartbeat?
Yeah, two of the ones I recently visited in Mexico. One was Now Jade, and the other one that I was at last week, which was called the Hyatt Ziva Cancun. And those are two really awesome resorts if you're in Mexico. Very good prices. And the Hyatt Ziva actually used to be called Dreams, and they were bought by Hyatt. And so when we were there, they had only been open for 6 days. So it had been completely renovated, completely gutted, and it's awesome. And because they have their grand opening, it's like 50% off the regular price. And I mean, it's really a great experience. And I'm a little sunburned, you can't tell, but I just stayed outside the whole time, in the beach, in the water, just bring on the Miami Vices and margaritas, and I think to me that's fun, but still taking some time to explore the island. So.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any stories or have you had any experiences that you would not like to happen again while you were traveling?
Yeah.
Any scary stories?
Yeah. When we were in Cancun, I was actually just telling my family about this story. I was like, I didn't want to tell you guys about this experience I had in Guatemala because it would have scared you. But basically, when I was in Guatemala on the economic development trip, I was there for 2 weeks. And maybe the 5th day, it was a group of us that all came. I didn't know anyone. So I went to Guatemala alone to meet this group of people. And everyone kind of came from all across the country for this economic development trip. And so everyone was really nice. We were all there for a unified mission. So one night we had went to like a club, like a Guatemalan club. We were walking back from the club to our house, and you know how you feel like someone's following you? I was like, guys, I'm pretty sure this guy is like following us. They were on like one of those little scooters, and they were riding their scooter, and every time we would stop, they would stop. It was like something out of a movie. And I was like, y'all, they're following us.
How many people were you with?
It was me and 2 other girls.
Okay.
And Yeah. So I was like, we're going to make this turn at this corner. And I was like, if they keep following us, we need to run. So we made the turn. They followed us. And I was like, run. And we just ran. And they started chasing us.
A scooter. Oh my God. On a scooter though.
Yeah, they started chasing us. And so I had to like jump a fence. It was crazy. But thank goodness we were almost at the house. We actually had to jump like this fence and like go through the back of the house. It was crazy. But in the moment, I was like, I did not go out at night after that. And also being one of the only like Black people in Guatemala City, stuck out, like, you know, so it was.
So they were like, "That's that girl I saw."
Yeah, basically, I was like, they're gonna identify me because I stick out very, you know, like a sore thumb here. But that was definitely one of my scariest experiences. And I had just seen that movie Taken before I went to Guatemala.
Oh my goodness!
So I was really nervous, but you know, it's one of those things like, you know, all difficulties in life, you're always able to laugh about it later on. I can laugh about it now, but I definitely was in the house before dark the rest of the trip in Guatemala. But it was an amazing experience. But I really hoped I did not have to get chased down, and thank God I was able to run. So
yeah, and I didn't
have heels on. Thank goodness. So
you did?
I didn't.
Oh, good.
That was all God, because I always have heels on.
Yeah, man. And do you speak Spanish? So when you go to these other Latin-speaking countries?
It's funny. I thought I spoke a little bit of Spanish until you go to these other countries and you realize this Spanish that they teach us in school, it's the worst because everyone speaks extremely fast and everyone speaks slang. You know, just like how we have slang, we don't use English, and not slang like just, you know, slang, but just like we don't use English always the right way that it's taught, right? So, and that's how they do it over there in other countries. So it's like, it's not like by the book how they say, oh, como está. Like no one says it that way. It's like, como está. It's like, wait, what did you say? You know, so, but I got to practice my Spanish last week when I was in Mexico, and I was like, maybe I need to do like a Spanish immersion program to learn more. Cause I love Spanish. I just don't really have anybody to practice it with. So you kind of lose it. Just like I know sign language as well, but I don't really know anyone else that knows it. So it kind of dies out over time. But I do hope that I could, you know, before I settle down and all that stuff, that I can get to maybe spend a month or two doing like some sort of immersion program.
Yeah. I've been thinking about that as well. Like, I think the best way. There's a little echo, but I think the best way right now, especially now that we're past that age of, you know, just soaking up information and learning, I think I just need to go and figure it out as I go. I'm trying to listen to Spanish music.
It's not gonna work. You have to like literally immerse yourself into their lifestyle. Like, do not talk to me in English. Only talk to me in Spanish.
And I took Spanish once in second grade.
Mm-hmm. So. Oh yeah. You need a refresher.
I need the basics, I guess, first.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
That would be cool. That my one of my really good friends, very similar to you, just was like, I can't do this anymore. I am not working for anybody. I don't want to work for or at least for corporate America. I just don't want to do it. So he quit and moved to California, moved back home, and now is learning Portuguese so that he can go to Brazil to teach English.
Okay. Oh, wow. That's awesome. I love people like that. People are like, I'm not going to do the norm. Nothing wrong with doing that path. But after a while, it's just like, you need to do what makes you happy, you know?
Exactly.
And that's really what life is all about. It really is. So,
do you have any motto or quotes or mantras that you say that kind of keep you going and keep you grounded?
It's actually on my coffee mug right here. You can see it. It says, don't fear failure, fear regret. So these will actually be on my website for sale next week. But it's actually, and I didn't make this necessarily for everyone else. I made it for myself because when I'm working sometimes and you just get like, oh my gosh, you can get really overwhelmed. And I always just remind myself, don't worry about failing. Worry about waking up one day and being full of regret, you know? So it's really for me just to be like, no, Dominique, don't worry about if this doesn't work. Worry about how you'll feel if you're like, oh no, I never did that thing. I wonder what would have happened. So that's another big fear of mine is waking up being full of regret. And I've met so many amazing people who are older than me. And that's one of the things they say is that they have so many regrets. and that they always appreciate what I did and how I quit my job and how I took the leap, because it's something that they always wanted to do. And then they got married, and then they had kids, and then they had more kids, and they never were able to do that thing they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And, it was easier for me to make a lot of those jumps because I didn't have anyone that depended on me, but I had a mortgage. I did have bills. But I always felt like the worst case scenario is that I would just lose everything. And I was okay with that. Awkwardly, I was okay if I had just lost everything and had to start over, because there's things, you can get more things. Yeah. But yeah, so that's it. Don't fear failure, fear regret. That's literally how I live my entire life right now, for now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's good. I wish I could just be debt free, first of all.
Get in line.
I have that mindset where I realize, you only need the minimum really to be content, to be satisfied.
You don't really need a lot. It's interesting. Like, and when I had less after quitting my job and going broke and freaking out, I was happier. I was happier. Like, and it was so weird. Like, okay, I'm not making anywhere near as much money as I had. I'm not able to do all the things I was able to do, but I'm the happiest I've ever been. And that was just my whole mission, to make me happy, and helping other people makes me happy. I mean, it's so exciting that every day I get to talk to people who are like, whoa, I'm relieved, or I feel so much better after talking to you. And it's like, wow, actually made someone's day. I have a real purpose. So yeah, it's really interesting, I have to say.
I love that. And I very, very similar mine. So what advice then would you give to someone who was hesitant about pursuing whatever they love?
Yeah, I would say, don't be hesitant, because you'll wake up and be 80 years old and you're like, man, I had this amazing idea. I wish I had did it. And like I said, that's one of my biggest fears is waking up and saying, I wish I had done this. I wish I had done that. I wish I had took this trip. I wish I had took this job, or I wish I had started that business. I wonder where I would have been. I don't want to ever have to say, I wonder if I had did this, what would have happened, or would my life have changed? So don't be hesitant. I mean, I don't know what most people's hesitations are. They're just scared of failing, right? And failure is going to happen. I failed at tons of stuff. It may not be a complete failure, but you may launch one thing and it fails, or you may put yourself out there and you get rejected. Who cares, right? So, you're going to get a lot of no's before you get your yeses, but you have to be extremely confident and extremely hungry to reach any of your goals. And a lot of times people just don't have that confidence. So get the confidence. Don't worry about failing, worrying about, waking up one day and not being able to have accomplished or, went after any of your goals. And you back? Okay.
There you go. All right. Yes, and I like what Bray said as well, as far as going not with just how we feel, but just believing that. I think I have a whiteboard, so I always write quotes, however I am feeling, but it's more, to help remind me exactly what Ray said, is not to live by what you see, or believe it in your, right now it says, believe in your heart before you see it with your eyes.
Yeah. And that's it. I mean, anything that you're starting, a lot of times you're the only one that's going to see the vision. But, they say all entrepreneurs are a little crazy, and I'll accept it. I will accept the craziness because a lot of the things I've done have been considered crazy, but I feel like you got to do a little bit of crazy and non-traditional things to live the life that you want. I didn't want to live an average life, and so I had to do non-average things. And I'm okay with that. If I died tomorrow, I'd be happy. So at least they can say she went after all her dreams. So.
That's good. And so many people are not going to feel that way. So many people do live till they're 80 without ever thinking or realizing that there's so much more that they can contribute to their community, whether it's in their house or going out and actually helping other people or whatever it is in their job, realizing that they have a bigger impact or they can have a bigger impact than they see themselves as now. Yeah. So what would you say to people who haven't even realized, who haven't come to this realization and self-actualization of where they want to be or who they should be?
I don't know. I mean, I think, depending on if you're religious or not, for me, it was just really praying. And I know that I was just so unhappy that I just kept praying and saying, God, just show me what you want me to do. And even now, sometimes I wake up and I'm like, this cannot be my life. Like, I just feel like I work very hard, but it's like, it's so fun that it doesn't feel like work. So I don't mind working 7 days a week because it really does not feel like work. It's like, oh, I'm going to launch this financial challenge and hopefully tons of people will sign up, or I'm going to hop on this blab with Christine today and talk about money. Like, this is fun. You know what I mean? So it doesn't really feel like work, but I would just say, take the time to really try to understand yourself. And I know before I quit my job, I read the book, Purpose Driven Life.
Rick Warren.
Yeah. And that helped. Yeah, it's so great. And I bought like the book and the workbook, and it was so good. And just taking the time to write down what makes you happy. And it wasn't, the funny thing is the things that made me happy a lot of times weren't directly linked to money. Now, mind you, travel and things like that is, but it's the experiences that I'm seeking, right? The time with my family, you don't have to pay for that. The experiences that I gained from traveling, that's what I wanted. And I wanted flexibility and independence and being the ability to say, I don't want to work today. Or, even like last week when everyone's like, my family was like, oh, I put my leave in for my boss to take off work. And I always joke and say, I hope my boss approves my leave. Cause I'm always joking. Obviously it's me, but it's just like, it's so cool that I have the ability. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to work next week. I'm going to go to Miami because they have cheap tickets or whatever it may be. And that's what I wanted. Even when you're an entrepreneur, you're still answering to everybody. I still have to answer to my clients, but it's still on my terms. And I really think that is what life is about. It's so scary when I see people, they work all year and then you get those 2 weeks of vacation. It's like, it's almost a slave mentality to me. It's like, oh, yay, they give you 2 weeks off. That's,
oh, how lucky.
Excited about that. How lucky you. Like, that's just not how life should be. We should not have to work all year long and then get gifted 2 weeks off. I just don't think that that's what life is about. So, and being an entrepreneur isn't for everyone either. It's really not. But I think that whatever you decide to do with your life, just make sure, it's really not for most. You really have to be crazy. Just make sure you're happy in whatever you do. That's really what it's about.
Definitely. And if anybody has questions as well, please feel free to chat them in, whether it's related to travel or finance. I'm sure Dominique would be happy to answer some questions for you.
Yeah.
And I had a question myself. So what do you think will be your next venture or adventure?
Yeah. So my next adventure will probably be, like I said, trying to replace my trip to Paris with something else. So I'm thinking, excuse me, it may be the meditation retreats of Bali or Greece. I really, really, really want to go to Greece. So that it's going to be one of the two. So that's going to be my next adventure. But as far as venture for my business, delving into the financial technology space. So I've been working a lot on that and creating financial technology to help more people with investing. So that's what I've been working on and trying to get off the ground. And it's hard. It's very hard. It's one of the harder things I've ever done. I quit it every day. But that's why I know it's going to be very rewarding, because it's making me think and work harder than I've had to do in a long time. So yeah, those are two things I'm working on.
Cool. And it's so good that you found your niche too.
Yeah.
And really know, like, this is what I love. This is what I'm good at. And because
it's so funny too. I was talking to my mom the other day, and I used to literally cry when I was a kid, because like I was like, Mom, I don't have a hidden talent. Like, everybody has a hidden talent but me. Still don't really know what that is, but it's just so funny. Like, and she would always be like, you'll figure it out. Like, I did cheerleading. I wasn't that great. I tried basketball. I'm like super girly. I'd rather wear heels and sneakers. And then like I tried piano. I mean, I can play a mean like Yankee Doodle, but that's as far as it went. And it was just like, everyone has this skill but me. So I don't even know what my skill is now. Some people are like, oh, it's the ability to communicate with others, or public speaking, or whatever it may be. But yeah, so I'm happy that I finally figured out something that I'm good at, because I'm just like, this is ridiculous. Everyone has a hidden talent but me. So I am really blessed to have finally found something that I'm good at. And it's like I've known all along, you know, what it's always been in me. It's just a matter of figuring out, and a lot of times being in the right situation or creating the right situation to bring out your real skills and talents, if that makes sense. So,
and I think our society and culture in general is moving toward that so much more, with more companies offering, and that's what I was going to mention before, unlimited vacation.
Yeah.
So many more companies are doing that. But they also realize that millennials and this younger generation really wants to know that they're making, that whatever they're doing in their day-to-day has some sort of purpose behind it, is somehow impacting others, or, you know, bettering society, or, you know, this whole idea of corporate social responsibility, even, you know, and being more conscious about how we're affecting the environment. And so I'm glad to see that more people are even thinking in that pattern. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, because we do still need just workers, you know, to keep.
No, it's true. But I mean, I have to say, I think that even though you do need workers, you do need those people that can keep things flowing on the back end. But I think that people, it's been proven statistically that even with millennials, if you give them the flexibility, they will continue to work. They'll work better. Because they feel appreciated, and they're not being, you know, treated. I don't know. They're just getting more benefits, so they will keep working. They will keep your company going, but they just don't want to do it in a traditional setting. So I think you know, the workers will still be there because we need them. They make the world go around.
Exactly.
I think they'll just be happier. They'll be happier. Yeah.
Yeah, and we even companies like Deloitte, where I know I was talking to one of their consultants, and they have this really cool passion project side of their organization, where they allow their employees to, you know, identify a project that they're passionate about, whether it's internally or volunteering externally, and they allow their employees to go and do whatever, you know, makes them happy. So
yeah, that's important. I mean, it's definitely very important. So
yeah. And like, to your point, starting with just writing down what makes you happy, I think is a good first step to figuring out where you should be looking, and figuring out where your strengths are.
Yeah, that's really important. Especially identifying your strengths, because a lot of times people are doing stuff that is like that is not what you need to be doing. Like, you are not good at that, you know? Because I see people all the time. It's like, okay, you have this amazing company, and you're good at what you do, but you're not good at sales. So no one knows that you have this amazing thing. So it's like, maybe you need to find someone that can help you sell this amazing thing that you have. You're more of a creator than a seller. And thank God I have been blessed with the ability to create and sell. My grandma used to always say, this girl could sell ice to an Eskimo or something like that. I never understood what she was saying. I'm like, what are you talking about? But now it makes sense. So, people, you do have to figure out what you're good at. And I even realized, like, I'm good at idea creation. I'm an entrepreneur. Like, I can create ideas all day, but I'm not always that great at executing. I execute when I want, but it's like, if I had a team of people that could execute for me, I would probably be even further along. But I realized that, I'm an idea person. I love to create the ideas. And so I can't wait for the day where I'll have, 30 people that can just execute all these different ideas for me. That will watch out for that day, world. But yeah.
And speaking of, do you have you found that working with anybody else has helped with your business, or have you really just been more self-reliant and just building on your network than anything?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you can't do anything alone. I think my network has been probably one of the biggest driving forces in my business, just being able to have someone to call on to, or if I'm launching something, saying, hey, can you help promote this? Like, there's nobody it kind of frustrates me when people say, oh, I'm self-made. There's no such thing. Nobody has made themselves. Everyone had someone that helped them along the way. Yeah. So even if it's just like an assistant that's helping me with executing a project, or like I just did the Get My Financial Life Challenge with Courtney Sanders of Think and Grow Chick, we partnered up and put this challenge together in like a week. And we had almost 1,400 people that signed up. And I'm like, on Thanksgiving, I'm texting her, Courtney, you're amazing. I'm so thankful for the opportunity to work with you, because us working together help us bring this idea together like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, literally like that. And we had 1,400 people that signed up in like 4 days. And it was just like, the power of working with someone else is absolutely amazing. And all kind of crazy testimonials were coming in about how people's financial lives were changing within a 7-day challenge. And it was just like, literally brought me to tears. Like, wow, we helped this many people in this short time frame. I've never done that before. I've never helped that many people in that short time frame. So, the power of working with other people is, I mean, if you're trying to do stuff on your own, you're gonna fail, or you're gonna work really, really hard. So, try to find somebody. You can be a solopreneur or entrepreneur, but look around and ask people if you need help, if you need guidance, if you don't know what you're doing. We don't know what we're doing. Like, everyone doesn't know everything that you're doing. I ask people all the time. And if no one's around, good old Google's always there. So, you have to, there's no such thing as self-made. You definitely want to make sure you're using your network.
And I think a reoccurring quote that I've been hearing over the last couple of months is just, we are better together.
Yeah, we are. We really are. I mean, and there's no such thing as, there's competition, but then again, it's not, it's kind of like, we're all so different. Mm-hmm. We're all offering something different. And a lot of times, especially even as me, when I am the company, but I'm also the brand, people feel like they can relate to me. Right. And that's a lot of times what sells people. They're like, I like what you said, or I feel like in another world, we could have been friends, or whatever it may be. And a lot of times, even that's the kind of people I work with. Like, okay, I want to work with you because I totally feel like if we went to brunch together, we would have a great time. So I feel like I can work with you. You know what I mean? So not work for me, but to work with me on certain things. So, that's some of the things that I look for when working like with people or partnering, someone that has a similar brand or similar message, similar ambition. Those are the types of things I like.
Is that what you look for? So I know you like solo traveling now, mm-hmm. but when you do go out with a travel buddy, do you look for the same things?
Yeah, when you're traveling with someone, you have to make sure they're like you, because we've all probably been on trips with friends where we're like, girl, we can't travel together anymore. Because some people are like, we all have those friends who are more scared. I'm probably like, everyone calls me like the daredevil risk taker. So I'm the kind of person that's like, oh, let's go and let's go climb this thing over here. Like, that's me, right? Versus some people, they just want to get up or sit in the hotel every day or only go eat. Like, I like to adventure out. So I think that you do have to find people who like to do what you want to do. So that doesn't cause any grievances amongst people. Because it is bad when you go on a trip with someone and then, you practically end up spending time apart the whole time because you guys want to do two separate things. It's like, what's the point? We rode in the plane together and that's it. Right. But yeah, I do think that's definitely important. So
I wonder if there's a website, if there's not Idea Box, of, there's Meetup, but like, what if there's a website out there where you can get a travel? There probably is, knowing the internet of things.
Yeah, there is.
I think out there where you can find a travel buddy who you can figure out if, how well of a match you are. Kind of like dating, except.
Yeah, I think, that could be a little scary though. I don't know. I don't know.
Travel with somebody? That's true.
Yeah, just be hopping up. I don't even think I would do that. But just to hop up and say, hey, we have the same thing in common. Let's travel together. They could totally be like a murderer. But I think Travel Noir has a group you can sign up for, and they have trips and stuff like that. But it's like a group. But yeah, I don't know about that travelbuddy.com. I don't know about that.
You're right. Maybe a group would be more.
Yeah. Even if you're like traveling with another woman, she could be crazy. Who knows? I don't know.
You're right.
So just be careful with that one, Christine. Be careful.
That's a good point. That's it. All right. See, I just had the idea. I didn't think about all the.
It's okay.
The cons just yet.
Yeah, I can hear all kind of stories coming out of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I wanted to just wrap up. I didn't think we have any questions, but I want to thank you for joining me. I had such a great time with you.
Likewise. Thank you so much for having me. This has been great. And it's great to talk about travel and money. One of two of my favorite things in the world.
Excellent. And next week we'll have a special guest, or actually in 2 weeks. So tune into my Blab channel to figure out who's going to be on next week.